Hi, I'm Ted Cruz, and I'm proud to serve the great state of Texas in the United States Senate. This year, my team and I once again went above and beyond to deliver wins for the Lone Star State and to fight for jobs, freedom, and security for Texans. We are hard at work addressing the problems that you face each and every day when engaging with the federal government. In fact, this year we addressed nearly 20,000 cases, helping make clear that your government works for you. This year, I was also proud to have completed my 1,000th event in Texas as your senator. I went on a listening tour of the agriculture industry. I joined our Coast Guard along our maritime border, and I visited with business owners and industry leaders across the state. I also corresponded with Texans from all across the Lone Star State, sending over 300,000 letters answering questions about my policy views and legislative efforts. In the Senate, I introduced dozens of bills to help Texans, and I'm proud to say that many either passed the Senate or have been signed into law. I led the Senate in honoring the Coast Guard for their incredible work supporting our maritime border security in Texas and along America's coastline. I also led the Senate in honoring the Texas Rangers for their 200 years of proud and legendary law enforcement service. I led the fight to free Texan Mark Swidan, who has been wrongly detained by the Chinese Communist Party since 2012. I passed a resolution unanimously demanding his release, and I will continue to fight for Mark's freedom. I'm committed to fighting for Texas priorities, and once again, I'm proud to have been able to bring together a bipartisan coalition to turn the Ports to Plains corridor into Interstate 27. This legislation will have the effect of bringing federal resources to this critical highway, making Texas commerce stronger and more reliable. Texas communities have suffered from a new synthetic street drug called Tranq. And thanks to my bipartisan bill called the Tranq Research Act, we will be able to establish better partnerships among people on the front lines of the fight against drugs to keep our communities safe. I'm also proud to lead the fight in the Senate to secure our southern border and to push back on Biden's reckless, dangerous open border policies. This year, I took several of my Senate colleagues on 2 trips to the border to show them firsthand how Biden's border crisis is hurting Texas communities. And I've been the Senate champion of the House Republicans' border security bill, H.R. 2. As the ranking member of the Senate Subcommittee on the Constitution, I filed several legal briefs with the Supreme Court in important cases on ending racism in college admissions, defending religious liberty, and protecting free speech. And in each of these cases, the Supreme Court agreed with the legal arguments my team and I put forth, and we won major victories for the people of Texas. As the top Republican on the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, I have the privilege of serving as the committee's ranking member. In that role, I've been proud to form and lead bipartisan coalitions of senators to stop 3 different nominees that the Biden administration had put forward. These nominees were either too radical or too inexperienced to effectively serve the American people, and Republicans and Democrats worked together in the Senate to keep them from advancing. Our servicemen and women are the best among us, and we owe them support not only on the battlefield, but also when they come home. To that end, I ushered the Bipartisan Cadets Act through the Commerce Committee, which is now signed into law. This law eases age restrictions for cadets at state maritime academies like Texas A&M to enlist or to commission in the Navy Reserve upon graduation, expanding the access of qualified and patriotic Americans to serve our nation. I was also proud to lead the Senate effort to honor Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen, a Houston native who was tragically murdered at Fort Hood. Her death and the investigation that followed helped to highlight the problem of sexual assault and harassment in our military. Thanks to my legislation, we commemorated her memory by renaming a Houston post office in her honor. In this year's National Defense Authorization Act, I fought hard to secure passage of a provision to streamline the presidential permitting process for building 4 bridges across the Rio Grande River, in Brownsville, in Laredo, and in Eagle Pass. These 4 bridges will boost the Texas and U.S. economy by billions of dollars. They will help farmers and ranchers and small businesses and manufacturers and the entire Rio Grande Valley. This bipartisan effort is a major accomplishment, and I look forward to helping see all of these new bridge projects through to completion. I also brought home several other wins in the NDAA. For example, I led the fight to ensure that B-1 bombers remain in the Air Force fleet stationed in Texas and Abilene as long as they're needed for our national security. In that same bill, I also passed an amendment to root out efforts by the Chinese Communist Party to propagandize our children. Another one of my measures will require the State Department to produce a detailed report on efforts by the government of Venezuela to detain American citizens. The Maduro regime has seized several American hostages, and the American people deserve to know what is happening and what the United States government is doing about it. Lastly, I made sure that corrupt officials responsible for Vladimir Putin's Nord Stream 2 pipeline are held accountable. I'm so proud to lead the fight on these important issues and to dedicate my time and effort to fighting for jobs, freedom, and security for Texans. It's been an incredible 2023, and I look forward to doing even more for the state of Texas in 2024. Have a blessed and happy